Our guest this episode is Mike Montague, founder of Avenue 9, where he helps small and mid-sized businesses market like big brands with authenticity and automation. With over 25 years of experience working with companies like Google, Coca-Cola, and HubSpot, he's built websites, content engines, and demand generation strategies that drive real results. He's also the author of LinkedIn, The Sandler Way, and Playful Humans, host of the Human First AI Marketing podcast, and a national award-winning web developer. He's here to discuss how AI, automation, and authentic marketing can help businesses punch above their weight class and scale smarter. Please welcome to the podcast, Mike Montague. Welcome, Mike.
Welcome to the Engaging Personalities Podcast. I'm Anders Belanger, founder and CEO of Engagify, where we're on a mission to rehumanize business through engagement. We believe that we can all be more successful if we can command attention and deepen connection. So stick around to the end of the show and we'll reveal how you can be our next guest on a future episode. So let's get ready to engage.
Hey, Andrew, so good to be here. And I feel like we have similar backgrounds. There's also a secret part of my past that was not included in the normal professional Avenue 9 background.
Right.
So if you look in the book Playful Humans and stuff, you'll hear my full story. But I started as a DJ and karaoke host, and then got into radio. I got to open for Billy Idol and Frankie Valli, and do all kinds of performing and entertaining too. So my side passion and hobby is just generally being an engaging personality. So I'm super happy to be here.
You're a fit, like there's when we kind of review people and look at who we want to invite on the podcast, there's certain things that of course catch my attention and I go, oh, this, I think this would be good. So you check a lot of the boxes. So, or all the boxes, I'd say.
Great haircut, ridiculously good looking. I mean, yeah, we can keep going down the list.
Well, you know what? There's something, it's true that when we are like other people, we tend to like them more, right? Like, or there's a natural rapport built. And so, that probably does connect us right off the bat. And then as we, in the pre-intro portion, I saw the Steve Martin book and I'm like, oh, and I start talking about that documentary and all these things. So yes, there's some Lego, lots of things that are, on your back wall that probably create interest and make people want to ask questions and see things they connect to. And I think that probably bonds you to people when you have virtual calls with them or do presentations. So
yeah, I love that. I think there's so much stuff that we can actually unpack into business lessons there. I mean, sales and marketing, I think, is about connecting with other human beings. So my personal brand, I call creative nerdery. And this is something I got from watching people like Steve Martin. I consider Bare Naked Ladies, people like Mark Rober, Douglas Adams, who wrote The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Who's there's an old comedy author that my grandmother liked, who was just
Dave
Barry. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Dave Barry, who's like right in that mold too, that I love people that are super smart, but also not afraid to be silly at the same time.
Right. And it has that kind of like intellectual, smart comedy behind it where, there's just kind of a thinking man's or thinking person's comedy, or humor.
Yeah. There's also plenty of females like Simone Yates. Have you seen her YouTube channel where she makes the silly robots and stuff and bad machines? I mean, she's amazing. Plenty of females like that too. But for me, it kind of sums up my background too, because I've always been a computer nerd. My mom won a computer in a radio station contest in like 1986. And that's obviously before any programs and stuff existed. So I had to learn how to program this computer in order to use it, and made my first video game in 8th grade and all kinds of stuff. But I was like, I don't want to be a nerd. I don't want to be stuck behind a computer all day. I want to be cool. I want to be on the radio. And then it wasn't until I had my own show in my 20s where I realized I'm still stuck behind a computer in a room by myself. But for like a fifth of the pay that computer programmers. So,
And then you embraced it, right? You just like, so
now I try to
let's
combine
in
the
there.
two as much as possible. And
Okay.
I found that gives me a niche where I can really stand out in the market, make some good money, and have fun doing it.
Nice, nice. So then did you kind of roll into marketing after DJing, or what was that progression look like before, you got into content development, web development, all
Yeah,
that?
I think it's a natural progression because as like the prize guy on the radio station, I was basically just doing promotions, driving around every car dealership, gas station, opening restaurant opening
Yeah, yeah,
that would happen, and I would have to do some sort of sales. And my job was very
yeah,
similar to yours, which is like get some people's attention, figure out what the
yeah.
heart of the story is here. I had to write a 30-second commercial twice an hour
Right,
for this remote event, and so I got really good at kind of getting to the heart of what moves people, what actually got people to show up to a car dealership on a Saturday, and what didn't, and getting to the heart of the marketing. And I moved from marketing from there. Social media was really the big pivot for me, and that was the LinkedIn book that got picked up by LinkedIn and there. But as being a radio personality, when social media came out, I kind of had a built-in 10,000 followers on MySpace, unfortunately, and then had to rebuild on Facebook and LinkedIn as my professional career developed. But learning how to engage people on those platforms and build an audience and engage an audience has been a big part of my marketing career, and that
mhm.
turned into public speaking and from there podcasting and other stuff. So that's
Yeah,
been the fun journey, and now helping other people do it.
that's so
Even they
great.
I to do it.
You when you talked about going to car dealerships as a radio, doing remotes, uh, it just took me back to my roots where I was a magician doing fairs and festivals, and I
Awesome.
would see the same radio people at all the events. So it was like the one person I knew. So I would hang out with a person like you at these events in between my shows. And then
Yeah.
they're like, hey, we'll get you on in the next segment. I'm like, oh, awesome. So it was kind of like a real beneficial relationship. So another
Same. I
connection
still have a
there.
bunch of my magician friends. Do you know Keith Kong from Orlando or anybody in that?
I don't know
No.
Keith. No. But we'll
But
we have a few.
a bunch of magician friends that I've
Yeah.
had on
Yeah.
podcasts, a bunch of entertainers, singers, bands,
Sure.
you know,
Sure.
anybody that's kind of an artist or a festival or trade show circuit.
Yeah.
Those are my people for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So I think those people would be considered playful humans.
That's
And I
true.
think that's a good place to talk about, yeah, that book. So tell us about Playful Humans. Um, I mean, from the title, I get a sort of a fun feel from it. But what is it really about? Like, what's the crux of that book?
Yeah, I spent about 4 years working on this. It started as a COVID baby
Yeah.
when we were all locked up and I couldn't go out and perform as a side hustle or hobby. And I was doing my corporate day job remotely, which I had been doing before the pandemic, even before it was cool, working remotely. And I had hosted this How to Succeed podcast that did over like 800 episodes over 9 years, 4 million downloads. It was great. And it's business and sales and leadership focused. But I wanted this outlet for me. I was like, I want to do something here in the pandemic where I just talk to the people I want to talk about. I can be silly and goofy. Nobody's telling me what to say. Don't have to sell anything. I just want to, interview people about happiness and fun and fulfillment and how you live your best life, and
Hmm.
interview people that are living the dream, like magicians, jugglers, people that won Survivor, America's Got Talent. I interviewed DC Glenn from Tag Team that did Whoop There It Is when he had his Scoop There It Is Super Bowl commercial come out. Justin Guarini, who
Yeah.
lost to Kelly Clarkson on the first American
Sure.
Idol, about confidence and what it's like to lose in front of 100 million people and
Hmm.
how you bounce back
Yeah.
from that. And just anybody that I felt was living the dream. I got to interview this voiceover actor named David Kay, and you probably wouldn't recognize his name, but you would recognize his voice. He does Optimus Prime and Megatron on
Yeah.
the Transformers, and
Autobots rule out.
He
That's something
did
like
that
that,
on the
right? Yeah,
show.
yeah,
He
yeah,
he did the Autobots voice. He does cartoon characters and video game characters.
yeah.
He was General Hawk in GI Joe when we were growing up. You remember the Saturday morning
Oh,
GI Joe
yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be
cartoon? I
Duke's
was like,
boss, right? Like
yeah,
that would be
yeah.
okay. Wow. You know what?
So I was like, this is just awesome. I want to
Yeah,
hear how these people make careers, how they keep it going.
right.
People that had viral videos that just got tens or hundreds of millions of downloads. And you're like, did you see
Yeah,
any money from that? And generally they
right.
don't. And so it was
Well,
fun.
it's neat that you, and I think the pandemic was kind of a, well, we see the remote work, the lifestyle thinking behind it. Like even, and people are still
Yeah.
adjusting as business tries to crank it back to how it was. But that people are, that the hustle and grind culture has ground down people,
Right.
and now I think they're asking bigger questions of themselves, and and you kind of have such a great collection of people who, whether they fell into it or they went after it, have this kind of playful and rewarding lifestyle, or just, yeah,
That's
career.
exactly it. So I
Yeah.
learned I came up with 52 lessons for the 52 playing cards in the deck, and each suit is a kind of main topic or theme that I learned from doing those 200 interviews. And most of them were not the famous people that I shouted out that you recognize their names, but most of them are just like what I call middle class creators, performers. Like they're making six figures, they're living the life of their dream, and they don't report to anybody, and they get to go whatever, do magic, surf with their dog,
Yeah.
create art or comic books,
Van
and
life.
they
Yeah.
make six figures, and they live the life of their
Yeah.
dreams. And so I had this idea of like, okay, I wanted to understand creativity. I wanted to understand human connection better. I wanted to understand fulfillment and community and what that means. And then the big one that I think you were kind of hinting at there is physical and mental conditioning is
Mm.
so different. If we talk about actually living our best life in a mind, body, and spirit way, it's not in the hustle and grind. That doesn't get you to long-term success and happiness and health and wealth that we all want. What actually does is a playful spirit, being able to, be creative, connect with people, practice and fail, have confidence to try different things and be silly, or the physical conditioning of just walking out and playing, or standing and moving and exploring, or whatever it happens to be. It really provides a lot of uh, physical, mental, and spiritual benefits that a lot of people write off, but it's the part that's missing in our culture these days.
It's an intangible, and if you don't have it, you don't know you're missing it, I think. Right? Like it's like, there's those times where you realize that you go, oh man, I missed that in my life, and I need to feed my soul, kind of thing, right? Like and I mean, we've been talking about magic a lot, and I do magic as part of my trade show presentation performances, right? And I use it
Yeah.
as a transformation mechanism in my talks, so it's an attention getting, you know, gimmick, if you will. I hate calling it a gimmick, but yeah, that kind of
Yeah.
idea. Uh, but I don't do it just for the love of it anymore, because it's so entwined with my career, with my job, and everything in the company, that I remembered at one point I went, I got to like geek out and just
Yeah.
be with a bunch of, and that's that magic nerd side, like just be with other magicians and shoot the breeze with them. Everyone's got a deck of cards in their hand, they go around trying to fool each other,
Yeah. Learn a
someone teaches
trick, do
something, and it's
something.
and
Yeah.
it's kind of like, I didn't realize I needed that, right? Like, and it was just, I think, yeah, again, that hustle and grind culture, we get so caught up in that we forget our hobbies, and we forget,
I think we forget how
to
powerful
play.
flow is too. One of the
Yeah,
reasons I like performing or speaking is you have to be in the moment. You
yeah,
can't be distracted and multitasking and checking social media and answering your email while you're performing on stage. You got to be locked in, connecting with other people, doing the feedback, focused on your physical and mental tasks. And it does create this sort of a focus and flow that is different than anywhere else in life. It's really easy to be busy all day and not accomplish anything. And
Yeah.
especially with AI, to, bring this back to what I do now, I see even times for myself where I can create so much content with ChatGPT that I can't even read it all. It's like, oh, I just spent a half an hour and I created 4 blog posts, 8 LinkedIn posts, and an email blast and all this stuff. And I just have to go back and read it before I even use it
Right.
anywhere, and stuff. And it can
Well,
become overwhelming and
we're almost
distracting.
drowning in our own content in that sense.
We are.
And
Yeah.
so let's kind of bring it back to, because you speak of authentic marketing, and now how does that layer into the automation, to the AI? Because in some ways, I think about this like, people can, when I say mail merge, right, like custom one-to-one market videos to
Yeah.
people that are AI. And so now we're like, hey, we can scale, authentically scale. I'm like, yeah, but is it? Like as soon as people know it's AI, yeah, because they say their name, so how do you kind of reconcile that? Or what is your definition, or what is your take on authentic marketing, Mike?
Yeah, the bridge between these two was the Playful Humans book, actually. So I had these 200 and some, I think I ended really close to 250 transcripts of interviews that I had. It would have taken me years to go back through and like pull quotes, and I did a custom joke and a fake sponsor for each one of the chapters. I had to like write each one. I wanted to tag and do a custom QR code for each interview that I could, from these 52 lessons link to other things. And it just had a lot of moving parts and a lot of data. And I was like, this is going to be impossible. But I started using ChatGPT to analyze the transcripts and help me whittle down a 30-minute or longer interview into a couple pages of coherent thoughts that also tied into all the other lessons that I was doing. And I wanted it to teach it how to write in my voice and stuff, which was actually harder when I did it a couple of years ago than it is now. But all of a sudden, I found these tools that I was like, oh, if I go the other way. So the secret to that is a lot of people want to take a prompt, like, let's just use the Playful Humans book, for example, of like how to find more fun, flow, and fulfillment in your life and career. And be like, okay, ChatGPT, I want to write that book. Go write 150 pages about how to have more fun, flow, and fulfillment in
Right.
your career. It doesn't work. It doesn't know what you're trying to say enough. It will expand on stuff. It could do deep research and things now. And I used it to
Yeah.
pull in scientific case studies and statistics. And then I double checked them to make sure they weren't just
Yeah.
hallucinated.
And what the hallucinations happening exactly. Yeah.
But there's a lot of moving parts and pieces here. But what I found was if you try and take one line prompt and stretch it into a month's worth of marketing content for your business or a book or even a podcast script, it's not going to write like you. But if you do the opposite, if you do the human first work ahead of time, and you and I have this conversation, we can take our transcript and whittle that into a blog post that's really helpful for people based on what we said. And humans don't naturally talk in a structured way that I think makes sense for a lot of sales and marketing content. So we've already taken tangents and talked about other things and maybe, okay, we'll just cut all that out and organize it. AI is much better at that.
Mhm.
So what I do for my clients and for myself is we can interview the founder, the top salesperson, your best client, maybe your vendors and wholesale manufacturers that you resell, and we can collect all of this information into a contextual database for the AI. Then say, hey, we want to go write a blog about our unique take on XYZ. Can you pull some quotes from the founder or talk about, what the crux of this marketing piece is? And it will do really, really good
Right.
stuff. So I call it degenerative AI. Everybody wants to do the generative AI and make stuff, but
Oh,
I like to have it collect all of this information and then kind of whittle it down to the concentrated orange juice that's really really cool, sounds like us, and hits home.
yeah, that's interesting because yeah, you're really sorting and sifting for the gold and the angle that you're looking for, but all of the actual content comes from a founder, from the company, from product
Yeah.
marketing or whatever you're trying to promote, right?
And
Um,
to speak
yeah,
your language a little bit, I'm sure people that listen to this show and stuff is I kind of learned all these lessons through performing and interviewing on radio and figuring these things out, but also like putting a show together. A lot of people
Mm,
don't understand that, all your stuff doesn't make it in the show. The idea is to learn like enough magic tricks that I know when to apply which one. And if I'm giving a
mhm,
speech and it's something concrete, I go, okay, this bit would be great for the opening. This is my closer. Here's the middle. Here's how I build a story through all of this stuff. And by doing those works and understanding how to put together what I call a scalable story, something that actually works, needs a beginning, middle, and end,
mhm.
now I have these other pieces that I can fit together. But if I don't have anything, I can't just build a 30-minute keynote out of one magic trick that I know or one
Right.
mentalism bit. I need to go the other way. I need to have a lot of stuff and a lot of tools in my backpack that then I can pull out and use whenever necessary, especially if you're going to be on a live thing like an improv, like a sales call or on a trade show floor. You go,
Yeah.
okay, well, this same pitch isn't going to work for everybody. If I have a
Sure.
new prospect calling in, we jump on a Zoom. I need to know which tricks from my bag
Right.
to pull out in order to connect with this one person. And I think we can use AI to do that a lot better than we ever have before.
Well, it's interesting to find things that you don't even know, kind of thing, right? Like there's,
Right.
mining that
There's
stuff, and
blind
you're like,
spots
yeah,
and
no,
yeah.
I do that. I didn't even realize to do that. But having that filter through the AI to kind of pull certain things out, that's kind of fascinating because there's those levels of if you're unconsciously competent at something, it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to write about it because you might not even
That's
realize
most
how
people
you do it.
marketing for their business, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. The hardest thing to do is create marketing material for yourself because you can't see the forest for the trees. My dad has another analogy I like, which is you can't read the label from inside the bottle,
Yeah.
right? Like you're stuck in your bubble. You can't see what everybody else sees when they look at you. You can't do that through
Yeah.
their eyes. So you need somebody from the outside to look at it. But AI is really great at that. So you can just say, "Hey, I'm going to give you all my thoughts. You tell me, AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, whoever, tell me what the best part of what I just said was," and then it'll
Right.
help you narrow it down. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That gives you, objectivity, which, being stuck in your own head does not give you. And and also just that like relatability to how other people are going to see it. So being in alignment. So I am seeing the authenticity
Yeah.
in the AI. Again, because you're controlling it, you're focusing it, filtering it, and all of that. So, what would be a big takeaway for listeners, with your expertise and what we're talking about here, if they were trying to, get more eyeballs on their content, if they want to, that sort of thing? What's one thing you'd suggest they do?
I think the biggest one is creating what I call a contextual database or a knowledge base of what you do that you can then build from. So what I help my clients do this, but also you can do it for yourself. Just pay for the pro version of ChatGPT. It's totally worth it. It's $20 a month. That's like, less than a fast food trip these days. And you're going to get a custom personalized AI assistant that remembers everything about you, knows about your business, who your clients are, what you're trying to do, and can help you do all these things. It's going to be well worth it. But in that, I just gave you a hint at a whole bunch of the stuff. So you can actually ask ChatGPT to ask you questions about your business and say, in order to best help me, what would you need to know about my business to be able to write a blog post for me or to create a podcast, whatever you're trying to do, run a regular email newsletter. And all of a sudden, it will ask you questions about your audience. What do you sell? What makes you better or different than everybody else? Who do you call on? Who's your ideal target market? And you can save all of these answers that you give in a Word document that then you can upload to ChatGPT as this contextual file.
Yeah.
Then once it knows about you and your voice, and I've been lucky enough, I've created a bunch of stuff. I've been on over 1,000 podcasts, written hundreds of pages in books, and done a lot of work that I can say, hey, here's everything about me. Go write something that's in my voice, and it can do it. If
Right.
you don't do that, you're missing all of the background of like, who's it for? What's it for? What's the change you're trying to make in the
Mhm.
world? What's your brand personality? Get all that stuff first, and then by doing that hard work over maybe a few hours, everything you make with AI from then on will be better. So I would
Yeah.
say start there.
Real foundational in that sense, right? And setting the scene for what you need to go and work from.
Yeah.
Uh, and just yeah, just I mean that's that classic. If we're not using AI, we're
And
kind
then
of
if you want
losing
to have fun with it, you can
stage.
actually do
Yeah,
this in custom GPTs or others, make funny ones. So you can give it different personalities. So I say, whenever I call you Jenny, I want you to be my funny co-founder that is pumping me up and giving me a pep talk and kind of breaking me out of my funk role. And so now I just, if I'm stuck on something, I just say, "Hey
yeah,
Jenny, I need a pep talk this morning. I'm a little stuck on this project I'm
right.
working on. Help me out." And all of a sudden, it takes on a different personality and does stuff.
That's
So
crazy. And
it's
then it just
really
made me think
fun.
too that ChatGPT never gets writer's block, right?
Right.
It's
It
never
beats that
stuck.
blank page in writer's block.
And when you're staring at it, yeah, exactly. Wow. Okay. So Mike, tell me, what do you see, I don't know, 3 to 5 years down the road? Like, I mean, AI is, evolving so fast and the things you can do. I have trouble even being that imaginative myself, but what are you seeing?
Yeah, there's a few things to unpack there. Number one is the automation part of what I do is probably the hardest right now. It just doesn't go the last mile. So I still do a lot of copying and pasting and take this from here and put this over here. I think that'll get fixed in the
Sure.
next 3 to 5 years, and you'll just be able to kind of run more automations or more agents by itself to do stuff, or maybe just review and approve things rather than copying and pasting and scheduling and all that kind of work. The second thing is, I think we're going to see massive improvements in quality, originality in these. We're already seeing bigger memory this year, better images, text and fingers and images got fixed, and just stuff that was identifiably AI is
Right.
probably going to go away, and so you'll see the quality continue to go up. I think we're there, honestly. We're probably 99% of the way to where we need to be to have it do what you want. But I think the last part of it that I can't see past is once we get to some sort of artificial general intelligence or something. I think we're still 5 to 7 years out on that. But once AI becomes smarter than we are, all bets are off. That's the event horizon I can't see past. In the
Yeah.
meantime, the good news is we're going to find some people that are going to do some really cool things with this. We could create movies and TV shows that change based on who's watching it, right? If you logged into Netflix, you see
Uh,
different
yeah.
shows recommended to you than I did, but those shows could actually be different. So we could both watch Stranger Things and you would see a different version than I would based on what you like in shows, or it could be based in your city or other
That's
things. Like there's
weird.
some really cool
I
creative
mean,
stuff people will
that
do.
that's interesting. You will like it more because it's catered to you. But then at the water cooler, if we work together, Mike, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Hey, do you see the episode of?" You're like, "That's not what happened." Like, so
Right.
we can't connect over that though now. Which so that's kind of a weird
I think
thing.
we're already there.
Like,
We're all in
oh,
our own algorithms, but I think rather than the channels that we're seeing now, it'll be personalized. So where we went from, there used to be 4 TV channels and everybody knew everything because it all happened to the same, to like 100 channels, then to social media. Now there's millions of channels, and so I might know about Mr. Beast or Mark Rober, and you've never heard of them before, and they have hundreds of millions of views and followers. That's entirely possible now, but I think the next one is your algorithm, your AI will filter stuff or create stuff just for you that you'll see stuff that is completely made for you
yeah,
that I won't ever see or have access to.
crazy, crazy.
And it's going to change the
Uh,
way we market and communicate for
okay,
sure.
stop it. You're blowing my mind. Stop. Mike, what kind of companies do you help, and how can people get a hold of you?
I like working with small and medium sized businesses, kind of in the 1 to maybe $100 million range to help them punch above their weight, like compete with the big brands. I think just like we were talking about, people don't know what's possible now.
Yeah.
And the budget is just a tenth and the effort is a tenth of what it was 2 years ago. So I worked for some of those big brands and we had teams overseas. We have copywriters, we got video editors and all that stuff. Well, all of that can be AI now. So you can do cooler marketing than you think you can. And those are the people that I love to help, or the ones that are sitting there saying, man, I always wish I could have blank, but I just didn't have the money or the resources or the time to do this, but I always wanted to do this cool thing. Call me and we'll see if it's possible. Now it might be.
Awesome. Awesome. So people can reach out to you on where? LinkedIn or?
Yeah, good news is I'm really easy to find. So if you just type Mike Montague or Avenue 9 into any search engine, AI or whatever, you'll find it. But avenue9.com is the company website. Human First AI Marketing is the podcast that I host, where I talk to people that are doing cool stuff in AI and or marketing. And LinkedIn is my preferred channel. So if you actually want to connect with me on social, LinkedIn's where I hang out.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to share your expertise, your enthusiasm, your playfulness with us and the, well, when I say us, the listeners as well. And I want to thank all the listeners for tuning in once again. And until next time, you know what to do. Stay engaged.
Thank you so much for listening to Engaging Personalities. If you believe this world needs more engagement and you're an industry leader or you have an interesting take on rehumanizing business, go to go.engagify.ai/podcast-guest to apply and come on the show. If you got something out of this interview, do you mind sharing it on your social media? Just grab a quick screenshot with your phone and text it to a friend or post it on the socials. If you know someone that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show. Include the hashtag Engaging Personalities. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episode, go ahead and subscribe. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and mean a lot to me and my team. Want to know more? Go to our website, engagify.ai, or follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening and stay engaged.